Majority of the time I look fairly stupid online, but that's all planned. Not so much planned, it's just I'm not scared to show who I really am. If there's a subject I don't know about, I ask about it. It's those scenarios that have led me to where I am right now. And van life as a whole, there's loads of things that I just didn't expect would actually happen. Things that because you normally have an expectation, and a lot of the time the stuff just either doesn't happen or it's better than what you expected or all that sort of stuff. Here's a load of stuff I learned whilst living in the van for the last couple of years. Number one, if I ask questions that I have absolutely no knowledge over, there's guaranteed to be someone, one of you guys, that knows a lot more than I do, or knows little tiny hacks from their past experience. So I'll ask a question that might seem quite stupid to other people. One of you will give me a little seed to sort of plant, and my mind will be like, I'm going to check on that. Cheap and cheerful. Another thing was quite simple. I knew I'd be meeting loads of new people from all sorts of walks of life. What I didn't expect was what I can do for them and what they want to do for me. And it's not a case of what they can do for you and what I can do for them. People actually want to help. Everyone is a friend unless otherwise proven. I've got a friend of mine who works in a scrapyard, Scrappy Ross. He can get hold of any part that I need for this van. But then on the flip side to that, anything I can do to help him out, I will. I've got another good friend who's absolutely amazing with mechanics. If he can ever help me out, he will. No questions asked, he'll just come and help me out. And these are all people that I've just met through either social media or on the road somewhere here and there. You never have a boring day living in a van. It's always a case of, it's a cold rainy day, I'm not really going to go out too much today. Who shall I text? You just end up texting somebody, and lo and behold, before you know it, you've got a whole conversation going 3 hours later, and you're still in conversation with them. God, I've got a lot of oh, look at these bubble wraps. Are you ready? We're going to do a 3-in-1. Look, see? 3-in-1. 3, 2. Only 2 popped. Sorry, you headphone users. This was another one of them. I asked a stupid question on, I think it was YouTube or TikTok or something along those lines. I asked people what they're using for inverters because I'd heard a few little rumours that the Renergies have got problems. And you always hear of bad publicity before you hear of good publicity. And this one popped up twice. I wanted an inverter that was 3,000 watts because I want to have like my coffee machine running at the same time as my air fryer. But I needed to have a battery bank big enough to discharge that. I didn't want to spend a fortune, so I was asking people for their budget opinions. What do they use? And this one pops up twice, and I never once thought about looking at the place where you can get this. So this is an inverter. It's from a company called Streetwize. Have you ever heard of them? No, nor did I. And that's because these aren't advertised out towards camper vans and motorhomes that much. These are advertised more towards your workers, your brickies. You know, the ones that work on the motorway network and stuff like that. They've got their little welfare van. Well, this is the one that goes in there. You can buy it from places like Euro Car Parts. I'll leave some links down in the description down below. But if I tell you, this come without a van conversion, camper van, trend tax. That's what I'm going to call it. Because it's not advertised out at camper vans and stuff like that as much, then it didn't carry the price that comes along with that. Streetwize, 3,000 watt pure sine wave inverter. We're going to actually install this today, and we're going to be installing another leisure battery to my battery bank, and then we're going to go from there and just see how it all goes. You might be asking, well, why are you doing all this work when your van's getting completely changed in in a month? Well, that's simply because I kind of want to use this. I'm fed up of having to charge my battery bank that I've got in there to be able to run 240 products. If I've got this, then I can get used to this electrical system before I then change it over into my new layout. This whole van is getting a complete makeover, and I can't wait to do it. It's going to take me a while to get it done, but it's going to be absolutely amazing. Actually, I'll go back onto that in a minute because I've got updates of all the furniture and stuff that's being made for this. So, well packaged. Whew. There it is. 3,000 watt pure sine wave inverter. On this side, you've got your big battery terminals, a couple of cooling fans. It's absolutely easy to use. You can see it just there. On the front, if I hold it the right way up, you can see what it is just there. On this side, you've got your on-off switch. You've got a plug-in for a remote, which I didn't realise it come with that. So I'm going to actually buy that remote. I priced it up. It was only 20 quid for a remote. It's basically a control panel that you can put anywhere. Me, I've got me diesel heater control, I've got me Renogy shunt control. So having this lined up next to it is going to be just as fine. Underneath these flaps, you've got two 3-pin plugs for the UK market. There's even a USB port on there. In the box, we have got the full instruction booklet for a 2000 watt and a 3000 watt inverter. So you can get this in multiple different sizes and stuff. I could ideally do with 3000 watts that could peak up to 6000 watts. So I can have my air fryer and my coffee machine running at the same time. So this peaks out at 6000 watt output. That's more than enough. For those who are a little bit unsure about what this actually does and why I'm boasting about it quite much, it changes your leisure battery 12 volt power into 240 watt or 230 watt plug-in house plug electrics. So you can run general household equipment from your leisure batteries. Now for me, my leisure batteries are a 200 amp hour Ally Time lithium ion battery, and it says in the book, I had a read, I don't know if I've understood it correctly, but it has a draw of a maximum output of 1000 watts. So the way I've done it is I've got another battery and stuck it in, so I'm going to have 400 amp hours, which I've got to install today, so I can connect this up to it so I can draw off that battery bank 2000 watts at a time. I don't know if I've got that right, but that's what that is. It comes with all the cables. Look at that, how thick and sturdy that is. There's your battery terminals, and it's literally just a case of get that little plastic bolt there, unscrew that, it will come off eventually. It's a long, oh, there we go, that's come off, and then the cover comes off just like that. There's your battery terminals. You simply connect your battery terminal straight to that. I think that's an M8, so once I've got used to this system, I'll be able to move it into my newer design a lot easier, because I'm still not 100% sure where I'm going to put all my electrics. I'm waffling on far too much. Let's get all this installed. This is the way I'm going to do it. I've got one battery, two battery, negative, negative, then we've got to put this pen away before I get this pen. Now I'm colourblind, this might not be red, but I'm going to use it as a red. And you've got your positive and your positive. Your positive and your positive connect together. Then go up to a fuse, which goes up to my buzz bar. Then you've got the negative, which goes negative to negative, and then off this battery runs up to the negative buzz bar. From the buzz bar, we go over to the inverter, the negative side on the inverter. From the positive buzz bar to the positive side of the inverter. From the inverter, we've got a cable which runs up to a pop-up extension lead. That's this thing just here. So if we press that, pull that up, that has got all of our 240 plugs on it. While I'm doing this, I've got to strip out this seat, solely because this seat is where my electrics are, and I need to get to the batteries to be able to do it. So I'll take the cushion off, take the seat base off, take the floor off, and then done. But while I'm doing this, I need to know about merch, because a lot of people have asked me about it lately. I've just had an email from Melissa Briggs and her partner saying, where can I buy your hoodie from? Where can I buy your hats from? And I'm like, we don't really sell that sort of stuff anymore. It's, well, not anymore. We just have never done it. It's never been a demand for it. But I've never asked if there is a demand for it. So would you guys buy merchandise? This is the logo that we've got. That's it. I mean, it's probably reversed, but it says Indie Vanna Jones. I kind of like the design. We've got it on hats and hoodies, and these are ones that we've got for ourselves. And the reason we got it is we saw a local post from a local man to my partner's house. He's a retired man. His partner died. He wanted to fill some time, so he decided to get some equipment and start doing all this sort of stuff. He's been doing it for a few years. So we said, how much do you want to do this? Now, a lot of companies threw us back because it is quite fine and in intricate detail and stuff like that. And he just said, yeah, I'll pop it round when I've done them. We got a couple of hats, a couple of hoodies, a t-shirt, and it was just like, whenever you're ready. He doesn't rush. He doesn't take his time. He's a perfectionist. And I thought, yeah, I'm happy to give him money and get this sort of quality in return. It was just what it was. Shall I do it? Shall I start getting him to make up a fair few bits and bobs for us? I don't know, is that something you'd be interested in? This is the abomination of our electrical cupboard currently. On the back, you've got your solar. Next to it, you've got your DC to DC. Then there's a battery charger, which isn't wired up. We've got the 200 amp hour running up to the Renogy shunt over to the buzz bar. That is our electric hookup system, just solely because it's got a consumer unit on it. It's got a few plugs on it. It does the job for now. We may even keep it like this because it really has been quite handy. But we're going to connect the two batteries together to get 400 amp hours, run them directly up to the buzz bar, and then from that a battery charger. We're going to try and wire that in as well if we get time. We have to strip it all out though first. So first of all, we've got to unplug the extension lead. That runs from the plugs over there to the battery pack, the sort of 240 watt power bank thing underneath. No, I'm waffling on in this video, but I'm quite chuffed with this. I'm going to actually have a decent inverter inside my camper van. It's going to be amazing. As for the wiring for connecting the two batteries together and connecting it to the inverter, I went to a camper van conversion place ran by Vanlifers, and it was just a local one. I didn't know there were Vanlifers until I actually got there. And I asked him the question of, what sort of cable sizing do I need to be able to do this? Because I've had an issue with cable sizing in the past where I nearly caught my van on fire, and we don't want that to happen. And he turned around and he went, well, I don't know 100%. I always ask this person at this place. So next point of call, I went round there. It was a tow bar fitting company, but he was a master with 12 volt electrics. So I went round there, spoke to him. He actually had all the cables and stuff, and he sold it by the meter. I said I didn't really need a meter. I need it to be chopped up and this, and I need that. And he knew exactly what fuses I needed compared to exactly what output I'll be getting. So he's done all that. There's the fuse. That's absolutely mega. And we went from there. It's all about asking loads of people. Look at that for a fuse holder. That's to go from me positive over to me buzz bar, just to sort of protect everything. Yeah, it's all about asking the right questions and finding the right answer that you need. I'm just so humbled from all the help and the support that I get throughout the journey of actually doing all this, and especially putting it out on YouTube. Granted, I get a lot of hate comments. What's that thing on your lip? Is that a spot? No, it's a lip piercing. I've had it for 15 years. It's just like, it's there. So what I've done, I've just basically put it under the cupboard. There it is, the Streetwize 3000 watt pure sine inverter. I'm using a torch to light it. That's why you can see it just there. I've got my extension cable plugged into the top, and it's easily accessible to the on-off switch, which is just there. I can just boof, boof. I've got the remote thing just there, so I can easily do it. And then down here in my electric cupboard, coming through that little hole just down there, is me positive and me negative. Now it's just a simple case of do the wiring for the battery. So disconnect the battery, change that positive cable just there to one that I've got a fuse on. I'm going to run positive to positive, negative to negative, have the negative coming off into the smart shunts, have the positive coming off the other battery into the buzz bar. Really can't wait to get my new camper van furniture and everything all in this van, because this is going to look so much neater. I'm going to go all vain like a lot of the Vanlifers do when they've got all the Victron, all the blue, have it all on display with blue LED lights. It's going to look nice. It's going to look way better than what it is now. I've done it. It's all done. You can't really see too much. So I guess the test is, shall we turn a light on? There's just a little button here and it works. So it's still an absolute disgrace of a mess. But you can see the general gist. We've connected the two batteries, positive to positive, negative to negative. We've gone up to the shunt up there with the positive, the other with the negative, sorry. The positive goes round into a fuse, then into the buzz bar. Those cables come in, those two just there, straight into the buzz bars, the right buzz bars for them. I had to move the inverter because the cables weren't actually long enough. So the inverter is now living in the garage. I'm going to get that remote and bring it so the on-off switch is inside. I've just sat down, I've just ordered that. So towards the end of the video, we'll get that fitted and get that all plumbed in perfectly. I found a couple of the websites where you can actually get this at different prices, slightly different prices. So I'll leave a few different websites in the link down. I think Toolstation, Euro, Car Parts. I think I even saw it on Argos as well. So I'll leave the links for the inverter and for the remote down in the description for you. Now I've just got to clean the mess up and reset my Renogy shunt, because that's still programmed for 200 amp hours. So I'll reprogram that to 400 amp hours. Clean up my mess, try the plugs out, the inverter, see if that works really well. And I've got an update for you on my units. Because if you didn't know, this whole camper van is getting refitted. I know I've said it 1,001 times, but for anybody new, it's having a complete makeover, going from a budget camper van to something a bit more special. So you join me in the front of the camper van. This is where I've just come. I've just turned the engine on just to see if all that charges up well and stuff. So I've got to open the Victron app, and everything is charging amazingly. Look at the weather outside. It's dull, it's overcast, it's raining, it's absolutely minging out there, and it's cold, but yet my solar is still charging by 13 watts. So I'm happy with that, and they've not been washed for a long time, so they're probably a bit dirty and grubby. And me DC to DC Victron Orion, that's charging. They're both on bulk charge, so it's bulk charging it up a little bit. But here's a little update for you on the furniture. because I told you I had an update. I was only down there last week, so I'm not expecting anything to be massively done yet, because he's got a backlog of stuff to do, isn't he? We've got about a month before the van goes in to get its accident damage repaired when I reversed into a porch and smashed up the back corner. That's going in on the 19th of February, just after my birthday on the 13th of February. Mark it in your calendars, because why not? And now after that is when I'm going to get my furniture done and dusted. So let's listen. He sent me some voice notes.
Oh mate, yeah, just a quick check, just because I'm doing a bit of an emergency slate cut today. I'm going to add a bit of your stuff in there, so I just wanted to double check that you are having slate grey, that the missus was happy with that, and your lockers are going to be slate grey shell with white glass doors like that one that you've seen. I'm sure you was happy with that. I'm just double checking before we start cutting stuff.
So I replied with, yeah, that's exactly what I want. I'll show you some samples, because I brought back some samples. And then I was like, yeah, that's fine. She's happy with that. All great. We still don't know exactly what to do on the worktop yet, so bear that in mind. We're not ready for that just yet. And then he replied with another voice note.
Yeah, no rush on the worktop. Yeah, as I said, we'll get round to that. So yeah, Sean's actually cutting your lockers today. So got another option on the shower door, which once it comes at some point next week, I'll do a video call with you or something. You'll be the first one to have a new style shower door if you're happy with it. It's like a concertina aluminium frame with a clear perspex shower. Yeah, I need to show it. Yeah, I'll show it. Yeah, he's sending me one over. Our first trial one should be with us tomorrow, and I'll give you a quick video on it. I think you'll like it. So,
how cool is that? So I'm going to be the first one to ever have the VANZ Adventures Concertina Clear Perspex shower door. That's going to be amazing. Let's go and show you the samples of what we're actually getting. I've set the Renogy shunt at 400 amp hours. It's at 100% battery at the moment, but look at that. It's taking in 360 watts worth of power. This doesn't really come across that good on camera, but that is the slate grey. It's underneath the light now to sort of try and show you, but it's also showing the fingerprints as it does. Anyway, that's the slate grey. We're thinking on that to go on the underside of the overheads. The kitchen unit's going to be slate grey. The bed bulkhead thing, that's going to be slate grey. The overhead, the side panels and the underneath is going to be slate grey. But the doors are going to be this white. You can see it now. Obviously I've not peeled off all the film, but that's the doors on the white. So the doors on the overhead, the doors on that on the kitchen unit, they're going to stay slate. The doors on all the overheads down there, and the full shower unit is going to be white. Worktop wise, one of the options is a white worktop, so just like that, nice white worktop. Another option is this glittery sort of worktop. I don't know, I'm not 100% keen on that, but Danielle kind of likes that. We can go oak or we can go black. I think there is more options on the website actually. So let's try the inverter. The first thing I'm going to try, because I've not got many things that actually plug in at the moment, is the battery from the drill. So I'm going to clip that into the battery charger, pop up the plugs, and just simply plug that in and see if it starts charging. The light's on. That means it's charging. My inverter works. My wiring works. The van isn't on fire. What about the air fryer? Let's have a look at this. Now, in the paperwork on most inverters, it says it works for such and such a products and class 1 products and class 2 and this and that and the other. And some of the stuff that it won't work on is heating appliances like irons, things that heat up. So let's try the air fryer. It didn't say air fryer on the paperwork. Look at that. It's on. It works. Look. The air fryer's working. The batteries are draining by 1.2 kilowatts at 98 amps. I'm well chuffed with that. It actually works really well. I'm chuffed with that. That's the Streetwize 3000 watt inverter. I'll leave that linked in the description down below because that is absolutely mega. That's a game changer. Actually really good. It comes with this little booklet of just the normal sort of user instructions and stuff like that. But I'm going proper deep through it. And there's a piece here, how to change the fuses. So there's loads of fuses built into the actual inverter. And full instructions with pictures on how to sort of change the fuses. It's got 10 35 amp fuses built into it apparently. It's got full troubleshooting. If it's not working, check this, check that. It's got everything you need, and then it's got the technical specifications on the back of it. So it's Streetwize 3000 watt pure sine inverter, 3000 watt with peaks at 6000 watts. It's got a 12 volt DC socket, so that's the USB socket that's built in onto it. 230 watt AC, so when it's turned on, it pushes 230 watt AC, which is your standard household plugs. It's got 2 UK sockets on it, so I can plug 2 different runs out of it. 5 watt DC, so that's the USB socket's 5 watts. So that's really good. It's got 1035 amp blade fuses. That's insane. Okay, so I highly recommend this for a inverter that's budget friendly, but also lives up to its name. Definitely Streetwize. This is amazing. Now racing back from my failed HGV driving test, I've got a notification to say me remote for the inverter is arriving. When they Amazon say between 10:38 and 11:38, and it's now 10:37, and I've got, well, I'm only a minute away. I failed my HGV driving test. I'm proper gutted, but there is some sort of silver lining on it, so to speak. It's 28 hours worth of training, and I had a lot of bad habits from my coach driver days. I was travelling too quickly around corners, too close to the corners. I was bullying a lot of people out. I drive in and out of London as a coach, or I used to drive in and out of London all the time as a coach driver. So that's the sort of way that you have to drive, so to speak. And I had some loads of bad habits. All those bad habits were trained out of me, so to speak. And on the test, I got 2 minors, and not one of them were to do with any of the bad habits that I had. I travelled a little bit too close to a van. Basically, I'm driving up the motorway and a van cut in front of me, so I had to back off. I didn't back off quick enough. And the other one was I was driving too slow. I was on a 40-mile-an-hour road going 25 mile an hour. Yeah, so they were my minors. And my big one was, I was towards the very end, like the last 5 minutes of the test, and he said, you're taking the 3rd exit on the roundabout, you're aiming for the M57 Southport. I thought, okay, yeah, not a problem. I looked down at the road and I've got this massive sense of, because we're on our way back, we're about to finish, all I've got is a motorway and a little turn into the test centre. That's it, I can't mess up that, can I? I jumped in the wrong lane going up to the roundabout. I followed the sign for M57S, which was M57 South. When he said M57 Southport, my mind, yeah. Anyway, that's got to book in a retest for that one, so it is what it is. But we're back now. Let's wait for this parcel to arrive. Nice little easy packaging. I was well surprised. It's only took a day to arrive, not even a day. It was less than 24 hours ago that I ordered this. But it's compatible with the 1000, the 2000 and the 3000 watt inverter. It's the remote for the pure sine wave inverter. It shows the working conditions of the inverter. It's easy to turn on and off, and there's a 5-meter cable in it. So basically, I can plug it into the inverter and then run the screen 5 meters worth of cable length away, which basically means my inverter is just the other side of that seat just there. So I may even be able to have enough cable length, because I want to be able to put my Renogy shunt and my diesel heater controller up here. That's where my eventually that's where my cable cover's going. It's like a nice furniture piece of wood. I want it all to be up there, so it might actually be really easy to do that. We'll see. This is the instruction leaflet that comes with it. I don't think we pretty much need to use that, but it's definitely got all the sort of workings of it and stuff. Tells you what all the symbols are and all that sort of jazz. The actual screen itself, trying to open it one-handed, should be rather... Oh, that was easier than I expected. There we go. And there is my little inverter screen. So it's a recessed one, so I'd have to cut a hole out to recess it. It's got a few little bumps on there, so I'll be able to proper reset it properly and link it into place. 4 screw holes. I'm thinking everything seems to have screw holes lately, so if I can get some fancy sort of show screws, so when that's on the final worktop, I'll be able to see it even better. Or I can just hook it straight on with that. Just put a screw in and just link it. I might do that just for now. So one side of the cable clips into there, one side clips into the inverter, let's get it fitted. It's absolutely chucking it down outside. And I've just noticed on the Renogy shunt, if you can see it, the solar is still working. The engine's not running, so that is just pure solar power drawing into the batteries. You might think the solar panel system on some vans is overkill, but overkill? No, it just works. Right, I've got to get this seat and basically strip it down. I've got to take everything off the top, take the seat off the bottom of it, then put it all on there. Tell you what, that cable is really nice and thick and sturdy. I mean, you bend it and it just sort of takes a while to get it to bend into place. That's going to be good when you're running the cables and routing them properly. Plug it into the inverter just there. Plug it into the unit just there, and there's nothing on the screen, so I suppose this is where I should actually sit and go, right, let's read the instructions, but I'm not going to. Is it press and hold? There we go. Oh, yes, I can hear the inverter starting already. I'll just put it there for now for like the next month, because then I can sort of, when it comes round to actually building the van back up, I'll be able to put that in a specific dedicated spot. But that's quite cool. So that's turned on now. So if we go over here, push that, pull it up, that's my 240 plugs. They should work perfectly now. Let's see what information we can read off it so far. So it's going from your batteries to your 240 or 226 volts. I've got 13.8 volts in my DC batteries. That's how many it's using. It's running on 50 hertz. Hey, that's quite cool. To turn it off, I guess press and hold. Both. One thing I want to test with the inverter, it's not so much a test because I've never really had an inverter before, so I don't particularly know massively, but if I turn that on, press and hold, it all comes up, so you can see, I can hear the fans coming on the inverter in there, and you can see it's drawing 0 watts all the way down the bottom there. But if we go over to my Renogy shunt, I'm using small tiny amounts of wattage, and that is solely because the fridge is still turned on down there. My Wi-Fi is still turned on there, so that is my normal sort of wattage draw. I was wondering whether just having the inverter on will be a big draw. Turn it off, come back down here, see what I mean? 21 watts, 23 watts, that's the inverter turned off, and that's because the fridge has just kicked in. So quite frankly, if it does draw from the batteries when it's turned on but not being used, it's only minimal amounts. I hope you guys will follow me along on the journey of turning this budget camper van into my dream home on wheels. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Peace out.